Hello.
Hi, it's Ben Kardin. How are you?
Hello, this is Alexandr Merejko from Ukraine. Thanks for joining us, Senator.
First, let me assure you, we are united. We're not going to let this go. We have already imposed sanctions. We're going to impose more sanctions. We are very encouraged by the unity with Europe in standing up to what Mr. Putin has attempted to do. We remember very well that these sanctions can make a big difference. We saw that in regards to what happened with Sergei Magnitsky and the Magnitsky sanctions. We know that Mr. Putin raised these sanctions with Trump during the first summit that the two had. We are intent on moving ahead with additional Magnitsky-type sanctions against the oligarchs. And in the Biden administration, absolutely, we intend and we'll work very closely with our European partners. That's why I was so excited about this call to have members of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. We very much appreciate their leadership on behalf of human rights. This is a global issue, and we all need to be united.
What measures do you think will best hit Russia? What is the best thing for Europe to do?
As you may be aware, the Magnitsky sanction law in the United States is truly unique in that it allows for a role of parliamentarians in pursuing sanctions against specific individuals. So there's a process that we can get directly engaged. During the hearings that we've had on President Biden's new team, his foreign policy team, we've gotten commitments that they will review with us specific individuals for additional sanctions that we think we should be considering as a result of the activities of the oligarchs, particularly in Russia. In doing that, it would be very, very helpful if we work in concert with Europe. But after we've completed that process, it would be much stronger if there was unity between Europe and the United States on the methods in which we sanction the oligarchs that are responsible for supporting the oppressive policies of Mr. Putin. The EU, the Europe's Magnitsky sanctions are not quite as strong as the United States, but they're certainly a framework in which we can work in unity. So I would hope that we would be able to establish those contacts. There's two agencies in the United States that work on this. One's in Treasury, one's in State Department. We will impose sanctions against entities that work with Russia to complete Nord Stream 2. We think this is a gift to the Russians. We think it very much compromises the security of Ukraine, but it also compromises the security of Europe and empowers Russia.
I believe that sanctions should be imposed on German officials who do not want to listen the voice of truth, of the voice of freedom from your Congress.
You don't have to convince me because I have supported the sanctions for any entity that violates our policy against Nord Stream 2. Sanction laws are basically companies, but I'll check that out. I'm not aware of officials from Germany that would be subject to. There are specific standards that have to be met for the imposition of sanctions. The problem is it's difficult to go after an elected official unless that elected official has directly participated in a type of activity that was not sanctioned by the host country. Germany has a pretty aggressive democratic government.
I agree, and we recently read in the American media that the United States would like to launch a cyber attack on Russian information systems on behalf of the French government. I want to express my support.
Oh, absolutely. So all tools need to be utilized, including sanctions, but also we need to do aggressive defense and aggressive reaction on how we can disrupt. It's an area that we have given the highest priority, and I am confident that the United States and our allies have the technology to not only defend ourselves, but to take action against those who want to try to harm our cyber infrastructure. That's why I'll put a plug in for Europe. Our Magnitsky statute is very clear that it includes corruption. The European model is not quite as strong. So yes, we can impose sanctions under Magnitsky for corruption, and I think that's very important. So we have that right. In cyber, we don't necessarily broadcast everything we do, but we work very, very aggressively is the right of self-determination. It's up to the Russian people to select their leaders. Absolutely, we'll continue to promote the principles of free and fair elections. I chair the U.S. Helsinki Commission and election monitoring and holding member states of the OSCE to comply with their commitments on free and fair elections is one of the core missions of the OSCE. So we will continue to raise the questions of what Russia has done. By the way, it's not just limited to Russia. We had the same problems in Belarus. So from the point of view of free and fair elections, we will raise those issues very aggressively.
Sorry, I would like to thank you and the U.S. State Department for supporting our decision to close the pro-Russian channels in Ukraine and the Baltic states.
Yes, we will continue to speak out against any efforts by the Russian Federation to influence through any tool, including propaganda, the free right.
They are not journalists.
No, I know. It's propaganda. It's part of their tools. It's part of their asymmetric arsenal.
Yeah. And I know that the FBI has announced a reward of $250,000 for information about the whereabouts of Russian oligarch Prigozhin, who is involved in interfering in the U.S. election. So the fact is that I have such information, and I know that Prigozhin will come on May 20 to the Eurovision Song Contest in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. So he travels under false documents and presents himself as the producer of the Russian participant. He is actually trying to bribe the jury. It would be nice to catch Prigozhin there and arrest him. And this award could help me and the Russian opposition in the fight against the Putin regime. And so we will be happy to help the U.S. authorities catch him if it will be such a request.
That's good to know. As I said, that's why we want to coordinate our strategies. Thank you.
Are you aware about last claims of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle about racism in the British royal family?
I saw the Oprah interview, so that I'm familiar with. I'm not sure I'm following the point that you're raising, though.
Yeah, and the fact is that now Harry and Meghan have sent letters to European governments with a proposal to impose personal sanctions against racists from the British royal family. And we have to consider this proposal at the EU Council of Ministers meeting in April.
I'm not familiar with that. I was not familiar with it. So that I have not seen. So we'll certainly take a look at what is presented, but I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, thank you. But you know, Mr. Senator, you make us doubt that you are stay strong for George Floyd gave his life for.
The George Floyd was a tragic murder, and pointed out the fact that every country in the world, including the United States, is on it, and the United States clearly has challenges when it comes to our systemic racism and problems in our system that we've been fighting since our inception over 200 years ago.
There are a lot of racists in the royal family.
Well, I heard the interview, and it was certainly disturbing. There's no question about it.
We need sanctions. Yeah. We need sanctions about British royal family against British Queen.
You know, I'm not going to react on that one. I'm not going to take that at this particular moment. I think I need to have a lot more information before I think it rises to the situation. First and foremost, we always want countries to respond when you have democratic states that have open societies and methods within their own country, we look to those countries to first act. So what just was revealed by the former royal family, I expect there'll be some activities within the British Parliament, the British government.
I think she has slaves from the colonies.
Well, I'm not gonna make a comment about that at this particular moment. I come from the United States. We do not have royalty in the United States. At least we do not believe we have royalty in the United States. So I have a hard time understanding royalty to start off with. But I know the tradition of the UK and other countries that do have royalty. So that's an issue that we think is best handled by the country itself. That particularly those countries again who have a long tradition of democracy. And the UK certainly has that.
Do you have slavery in Maryland?
Do we have slavery in Maryland?
Yes.
No, we haven't had slavery in the United States since
I saw the show.
What show?
I understand, Mr. Senator. You don't care about George Floyd's destiny, so you don't care about it. I see it.
I very much care about George Floyd's death. I've introduced legislation to deal with it. But when you start raising issues that are not the fundamental issues we're trying to deal with at this particular moment, and that is with countries such as Russia, I'm not sure I follow.
How many times got your knees besides black people? I did it many times.
How many times about black people?
Niels.
Again, I don't understand the words you're saying.
Every day, every week, or never.
I don't follow what you're saying.
Maybe you are racist. You're a white man.
You know, I think we've taken this concession as far as I'm going to take it.
How many slaves do you have on your ranch in Maryland?
That is a ridiculous question. I'm sorry.
I saw it in Oprah show.
I'm sorry you have gone down this path, and I'm not going to participate any further because it's a ridiculous question.
No.
You know the answer to the question.